the world is opening up again. COVID is over, borders are open, it's a lot easier to travel and work overseas again. It's getting easier for teachers to come back to China, and I'm seeing a lot more of them. 大家好，我是 Suran 在中国. Hey everyone, it's Suran in China. How y'all doing today? I'm having a glorious day. The weather has finally taken a turn for the better. It's a beautiful sunny day. I'm sitting in the shade. I'm having another grapefruit iced coffee. It's delicious. Grapefruit and coffee is such an amazing combination. If you've never tried it before, I highly recommend it. But today I'm out riding the little Blue Beauty, of course. Got the headphones on, listening to some ebooks, some music, enjoying the day, getting my exercise in. Thought I'd take a little break before I headed home and share with you some of my past experiences. Now, as the world is opening up again, COVID is over, borders are open, it's a lot easier to travel and work overseas again. It's getting easier for teachers to come back to China, and I'm seeing a lot more of them. Last year, it was like a ghost town for foreigners, especially in this area of Shenzhen. I felt like I was the only foreigner around, but more and more students are coming back, more and more teachers are coming back as well. So I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about what it's like to be a teacher in China. Now, as I mentioned in my visa video, to get a visa to work and teach in China, first you have to have a contract. So you do have to have a connection with a school. However, that can be done online, and typically it is. They'll send you a contract through email. You'll take that to the consulate or the travel agent, and they will use that to get you a short-term visa to get into China. And then once you get here, the school is responsible for setting you up with your work visa, your residence permit, as it were. But just wanted to make people aware that teaching in China can be amazing, but it can also be a regular old 40 or 50-hour week job. So it's something you really definitely need to keep in mind. There are basically three different ways of teaching in China right now. There's teaching within the public or private school system, which is typically Monday to Friday, classes in the morning and the afternoons, etc. Then there's teaching in the younger kids, the kindergarten type of situations, where it's a lot less hours, but it's a lot more work. And then the third situation is working for a private training center, which again is a very, very different animal. So let me kind of break it down for you. First, the first job I got in China, and one that's very common, is to teach within the school system itself, whether in a primary, middle, or senior middle school, or in universities. Typically, these jobs are the best for new teachers or new people to China because I call them hand holding jobs. Typically, you will be given an apartment for free to live in with your utilities, internet, things like that paid for, which is really, really nice. So you don't have to worry about any of the overhead or dealing with utility companies, internet companies, things like that. All you really need to do then is worry about your cell phone. And in a lot of cases, most cases, in fact, you'll also be given 3 meals a day in the school canteen, meaning that if you don't mind eating in the school canteen, I never did. Um, you only really need to worry about food for yourself on the weekends or if you want to go out with your friends, right? So it's a very, very nice situation to get into. Typically, the hours are quite low. I've worked in universities where I got 10 hours of teaching a week. I recently had a friend here in Guangzhou that was working at an agricultural university who worked Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So he got Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off. So not only did he get Wednesday off, but he also got a long weekend every single week. Really fantastic job. He had his apartment paid for. It wasn't fancy, it wasn't huge, but not paying rent is nice. Not dealing with landlords is nice. And he was offered 3 meals a day. So this is a really nice job to get into when you're first starting out. However, there are downsides as well. For example, as you're living typically on the school campus, that means you need to go in and out of security every day when you want to go out into the rest of the world. And that means if you're a partier, if you're somebody that likes to go out late at night drinking with your friends, you may run into troubles with the school, as the security guard that's working at night may be sleeping. You may have difficulties getting into your school, and it may just honestly piss off the security guards that are working if you're always coming back late at night, because you could potentially be disturbing the students, you could be disturbing the employees. So it can be a little bit of an ugly situation. But if you're really just looking for teaching and getting the Chinese experience, and you don't mind being in at a reasonable hour during the week, it's not a bad job. Now, kindergartens are a little bit different of a story. Kindergartens can be very similar to the typical schools. However, a lot of the times the students and teachers don't live in kindergartens, so you may not be offered a place to live, an apartment, and the 3 meals a day as you would in the schools with the older kids, because a lot of the kindergarten students, they will be starting at 7:30 or 8:30 in the morning, and then home in the early afternoon, because they're young, they're babies, right? They're such little things that the parents don't want them being away from home all the time. As such, it's going to be a lot more difficult for you, because you're likely going to have to get your own accommodations, deal with your own meals, and trust me when I tell you this, kindergarten is the hardest grade to teach when it comes to kids. I don't care whether you're teaching English in China or whether you're teaching kids in kindergarten in North America or anywhere else in the world. Those little buggers have so much energy and require so much attention that it's really, really difficult. The best time I ever had teaching kindergarten kids was when I had two teaching assistants in the classroom with me at all times, because you can be looking at class sizes of 50 or 60 kids. And when you've got 50 or 60 kids that are just full of spit and vinegar, just energy out the wahoo, it can be really, really tough to maintain control in the class and to not go crazy yourself. So it is a tough job. So, but like I said, the toughest part about that is likely you're going to have to go and rent your own apartment, and you're going to have to deal with meals and utilities, things like that, all on your own. And as the students have a shorter school day, you'll likely have less hours to make money during the week. So you may not make as much as you would in a bigger school. So that also could affect where you live and your general lifestyle in China, but you're going to be working harder. It really is going to be a lot more difficult. It's going to be a lot more playing games, and essentially babysitting, trying to keep these kids from killing each other in the class. It's a challenge, but hey, if that's something that you're into, I've known people here that have been very successful kindergarten teachers. They love it. They seem to have a magic working with kids. That might be the job for you. The next job you can get teaching in China is very, very common. It's teaching in training centers such as English First, Wall Street English, places like that, private training centers. These typically tend to pay the most. However, they're a lot different from the schools in that um, you're going to be working every weekend unless it's a holiday. That's something you have to get used to right off the bat. Weekends and training centers are their peak periods, because the rest of the time, the students, if they're kids, will be in school. If they're adults, they'll be at their jobs. So weekends and evenings are going to be your peak working hours. And on top of that, when it comes to working hours, those type of jobs are considered full-time jobs. They're not going to be 10 hours a week. They're not going to be 15 hours a week. Your typical training center job is a 40-hour a week job, just like back home, which is why you make substantially more money doing it. Now, on top of that, you are going to have to get your own apartment. So that's going to mean dealing with landlords, negotiating contracts, signing a lease, just like you would back home. You're going to have to get your utilities hooked up. You're going to have to get your internet and other services hooked up. Though in a lot of cases, the landlords will take care of that for you. They will just add those costs onto the price of the rent. You'll also be expected to pay the management fee of the community that you're living in. So there are a lot of different aspects of living in China that you need to deal with yourself. And then again, training centers will not offer meals of any kind. All of your meals, your breakfast, lunch, supper, everything are going to be taken care of by yourself. And it's a very demanding job, because you do spend a great deal of your time in your evenings and weekends working. Also, holidays and other times when everybody else is traveling and having fun, you're going to be working in those training centers because, again, those are the peak periods. So if you're coming for job experience to become a teacher in a school, then kindergarten or the regular school system may be the way to go. However, if you're coming to make some money and pay off student loans and you don't mind, maybe you can speak a bit of Chinese or maybe you're willing to learn, if you don't mind being more self-sufficient and living on your own, then a training center is a great way to make money. But it's definitely something that you should look at before you arrive in China, because no matter what you do, you're going to have a contract lined up before you get here to come as a teacher. And you should know what you're getting into before you get here, because once you get here, if you have to change jobs, if you have to change visas, if you have to change locations, it gets to be a much bigger hassle. So there you go. Just a little bit of information about teaching from my own personal experience in China. I've been here for so many years. I've taught in kindergartens, I've taught in primary, middle, and senior middle schools. I've taught in universities, and I've also taught and even was trained to manage my own training center here in China. So I have a lot of experience, and I hope some of that experience can help some of you. If you have any questions about teaching or about coming to China as an employee, please feel free to hit me up in the comments below. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you in the next video.